Good afternoon, everybody. For those of you that are new to my channel, this is a relatively new channel. I've been around, but really starting to create content now that I'm more semi-retired. But um, I call my channel WWP Reacts for a reason. I want to react to what I read and what I see in the news. I also do educational videos and some just real life videos. So most of the stuff I do is is about what's going on in the news. My name is Bill. I'm a retired military officer, uh, retired federal contractor, worked in the IT area. Back when I was a reserve officer, I was a high school science teacher. And I just like to share what I see in the news. And I want to talk about New York Times. I subscribe to New York Times. Why? I'm very conservative. New York Times isn't very conservative, but it gives me a good place to go and see what's going on. So let's talk about the five stories the New York Times sent me today of this week, what we need to be take away. And let's look at how they phrase this. First one is going to be the Coast Guard buys two. Let me share my screen. Share my screen so we can all look at it. This is what the New York Times says. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. And let me get rid of all these. Well, it doesn't show the tabs, so that's good. So here we go. So let me go to, let me get rid of this box. Coast Guard buys two private jets for Nome, costs $172 million. Right away, the title, two private jets for Secretary Nome. Really? Two Gulfstream jets for the Secretary and other top officials. Okay, so what's wrong with that? Is there a problem with that? They make it sound like a problem. I'm sure that's happened in every administration. Department of Homeland Security has purchased two Gulfstream jets for 172 million. The jets are which the department said were needed for safety. Okay, are latest expended by half a Miss No to draw scrutiny from Democrats and other critics. So it's drawing scrutiny. Of course, it's drawing scrutiny. I mean, that's what they do, right? The Coast Guard puts its budget earlier this year, put it in its budget earlier this year, so that it was in the budget. Um, Congress votes on the budget, from what I understand. Purchase a long Gulfstream 5 jet, estimated 50 million, to replace an aging one used by Miss No. Okay, but it was in the budget. Uh, he said an aircraft was necessary for agencies with secure, reliable, on-demand communications and movement to go forward. This is the person that's in charge of our homeland security. So of course they need to have secure, reliable, on-demand communication movement to go forward. Documents were posted to a public government procurement website and reviewed by the Times. Blah blah blah. But okay, so here they show this picture, the interior of a G700. The Homeland Security Department has signed a contract. Yes, that's what they sell to the public. Do you think that's what they got? I bet not. I bet there's offices and living quarters actually probably in this Gulfstream for her and her staff. Um, Matter of safety, the existing jet was over 20 years old. Would you want to fly in a jet 20 years old if you were the head of Homeland Security? I don't think so. I love these people from Connecticut. I just love Connecticut politicians. I grew up in Massachusetts, so I hate them too. But Jesus Christ, they always have something to bitch about. Republicans included roughly $225 billion in new funding for the Coast Guard earlier this year in their marquee tax cut and domestic policy legislation. I imagine that's a big, beautiful bill. Okay, so what? It's passed. All right, enough of this story. It drives me crazy. Uh, yeah, it just is. It's funny, isn't it? Uh, She faced criticism this year from Democrats for staying in a rent free at a waterfront home reserved for Coast Guard's commandant. She is the secretary to which that commandant reports. So, what is the problem? As an officer of the military, I lived rent free in government housing. Some was very nice government housing too, with the rank I got to. Um, Generals live in beautiful rent free housing, whether the Democrat, Republican, or whatever. And this is unbelievable. Okay, let's go to the next story. Let's see what else. What else we got here? U.S. is repatriating survivors. Such a drug risk. Scenes from the day of Oh, this one's got to be good. How many of you all went out and saw the No Kings rallies? All right, I guess I got to reshare this. I got to share something different. I didn't know that. I thought I would just go. Okay. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, give it time. Scenes from the rally. Oh, look at this beautiful rally. Signs and chants protesting by No Kings rallies. Like we have a king. I mean, come on. Protesters gathered in major cities, small towns, blah, blah, blah. Second time for the No Kings. It does a lot of good. You know, what a waste of time. Don't these people have something better to do? Round for the code of the government shutdown. Shutdown, oh, by the way, that the Democrats have caused. The clean CR is the clean CR. It is what the Democrats have voted on 13, at least 13 times before. Now, that's not doesn't make it right. CRs need to be replaced with a budget, but that's not the way it is right now. So I don't get it. Some are even overseas. What do overseas people have to care about what's going on in our country? They should mind their own business, in my opinion. The only crown in America, okay? Unpaid protester. If you have to say you're unpaid, that means there's paid protesters. Oh, George Soros, how you doing? You know, he's funding all this crap. Anyways, we love USA and its Constitution. Well, I believe Donald Trump does too, and I know I do. So I don't know what your point is. This must have been something Bethesda, all these nice pictures. Oh, look at New York City. Isn't that beautiful? The liberal bastion, which is going to soon elect probably a communist in Mandani to run this rat infested hellhole of a city, which has become in the last 10 years. Um, oh, God. Oh, angry. Look at the anger in this guy. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's find it. Yeah. Let's find a different story here. All right. Booking big guests and irked by leaks by first day at CBS. Who cares about CBS? White House and government agencies join Blue Sky, then attack Democrats. Surprising Kindle hack, 15 million readers already know about. All right, let's go back to the second story. U.S. repatriating survivors of its strikes unsuspected. Okay, so let me share this. As you know, or as you may know, um, drug vessels off the Caribbean Sea, off the Colombia and Ecuador. Why? Because they were smuggling drugs, and we are cracking down on that. And that's what we want our government to do, I would think. So let's see what this story, how they bend this story. Trump administration repatriated two survivors of a deadly U.S. strike this week on suspected drug runners in the Caribbean Sea rather than prosecute them or hold them in military detention. President Trump announced on Saturday. The men who survived are being returned to their countries, Colombia and Ecuador, for detention and prosecution. All right, so the two survivors, they're not Americans. They kind of U.S. repatriated survivors. Oh, I guess it didn't say Americans. Okay, so he posted a 29-second video that said, hey, we're not going to detain him. We're going to send him back to their country and let them be dealt with there by the officials there that said they're going to deal with them. He said two of the suspect drug subjects, who we call terrorists, had been killed in the attack, thankfully. I'm glad we killed those two guys. It is not immediately possible to confirm that either Colombia has agreed to prosecute the two men. Okay, so it wasn't immediately possible to confirm, but they didn't. How much did the New York Times really try to confirm? I am sure that the Trump administration confirmed with both Colombia and Ecuador that they were going to try these guys as terrorists or as drug smugglers. And if you know Colombia and Ecuador, they deal with drug smugglers pretty harshly over there, much harsher than we do here in the United States. From everything that I know and have been to Colombia, yeah, you don't want to be caught drug smuggling. Okay, let's see what else do they have to talk about here. It was a sharp break from the traditional handling of maritime smuggling, which the Coast Guard would intercept boats and arrest people if suspicious. and proved accurate. In other words, we went and we killed them. We sent deadly airstrikes to kill unlawful combatants. So I don't know. I don't know what the big deal is. But anyways, this is the left wing slant of the New York Times for this week. I read these stories every day, and I do a weekly show, I think, on what the New York Times sends me as things you Americans should read and take our slant on so you understand how the conservatives are trying to, quote, ruin this country. This is how most Americans get their news. They read only the New York Times. They watch only CNN. I read the New York Times. I read the Washington Examiner. I read Epic. I read Left Right. I watch Left Right, and I think for myself. Most Americans, I don't know if we do that based on the showing at the No Kings rally over this weekend. I mean, come on, we've got to get a life. Anyways, hope you all have a good week. It's a Sunday here in Georgia, and yeah, ready to go for another week. Thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.